Good afternoon to our friends in the Philippines and good morning to our buddies in Saudi Arabia. My name is Alira and with me is my brother Sam, and we're here to welcome you to today's workshop. Now, I bet you're wondering, what is Workshops for Peace? Well, Workshop for Peace is an overseas Filipino homeschoolers fundraising initiative that aims to educate, empower, and engage students while at the same time fostering creativity, compassion, and collaboration.
We have been blessed to bring on board amazing people who want to help us in this cause. Our first workshop was Kids Inventing for Peace, where kids learn how to tap into their creativity and start inventing. The next session was with Teacher Ted, and it was a cultural exchange, meeting with students in Ukraine. Today's workshop, Urban Farming for Kids, will be a learning session about basic concepts in urban gardening.
We'll be having content creation for teens, which is a workshop that will enable us to harness the power of social media to our advantage. Last but definitely not least, how to start a non-profit will be on May 1, and it will teach us how to start and grow a successful non-profit so we can start collaborating and make a difference in our community.
Our beneficiaries include Ukrainian refugees and frontliners through a Filipino teacher currently residing in Kiev, Ukraine, Kristen Boado of Kaizen Alternative Learning, as well as the initiatives for helping Somalia, led by Taylor Quinn, who works with the UN World Food Program, and the shelter building initiatives for Typhoon Odette victims in the Nagat Island through Jordan Sebastian of Courageous Compassion.
This event will not be possible without the help of our speakers as well as our friends from Kids Who Farm, Tailored Food, Innovation World, Courageous Compassion, Kaizen Alternative Learning, Prince of Peace Integrated School, and Peniel Integrated Christian Academy of Rizal.
Muneer Hinay is the co-founder, president, and CEO of Kids Who Farm Sustainable Food Systems Incorporation, a Zamboanga City-based non-profit, startup, and advocacy initiative which aims to inspire future farmers by educating the youth on the importance and value of food and farming and providing them a platform to participate meaningfully in local food system solutions. He co-founded Kids Who Farm together with Raaina, his 12-year-old daughter.
Okay, so yes, good afternoon everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace from the Philippines. I understand we have visitors here from other countries as well. So first and foremost, I would like to thank Miss EJ and the whole team for inviting us to share knowledge and some information on the subject matter, which is about urban farming. So let me just share my screen first. All right, so we'll make this afternoon a very informative afternoon. I understand that you have been through a number of workshops already, and hopefully this will add up to your knowledge. No, I'm very much happy to teach young people or kids. No, unfortunately, Raaina cannot join me here, but she's in the video, which I will show later. Okay. Our group, our organization is based here in Zamboanga City. How many of you here know about Zamboanga? Do you know where Zamboanga City is? Yeah, can I see a thumbs up or like a heart sign? Yeah, so we are located in the western part of Mindanao Island in the Philippines. And Zamboanga City is known as Asia's Latin City because our mother tongue here is called Chavacano, a mix of Spanish and local dialect. So if you want to see Zamboanga, it's right on that location point. So we're on the western side of Mindanao Island, or this is called also Zamboanga Peninsula. Okay, so hopefully you can visit this place one of these days. Yeah. How many of you here are feeling good, feeling happy? You can annotate the slide if you want to, or you can just like key in your emojis, happy, sad. I hope everyone's happy. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. So yeah, we should be happy despite all the challenges in life now. But I guess this is also the purpose why we are here. Learning new things will definitely make us, happy at the same time, engaged. And I know you kids are very engaged, no? Um, so let's start, no? How many of you here have their own food garden? Yeah, you can key in the heart emoji if you have a garden, or no if you don't have a garden but you are interested to start one, you can key in a thumbs up emoji. Okay, so I guess some of you here have their own garden. That's good. Now I can see the background photos of some, and some of you have none but you're interested. So this is the right fit for you guys. No? So this is the training on urban gardening. But before that, I would like to show you a video about the work of our group, Kids Who Farm, here in the Philippines. And you will see Raaina in this video as well.
Having a work experience in agriculture, in environmental conservation, I have already observed that I guess one of the pressing challenges of our food security is the aging Filipino farmers.
Okay, so Raaina, when did Kids Who Farm start? Can you tell us how it started?
It started to February 26, 2019. And how it started with a single idea to replenish my school's garden. It was really deserted. The plants were dead already. And there was like no one who was watching over it.
I realized that even as a small child can actually propose solutions to the pressing problems of our society, and one of which is food security. So I was encouraged to create something out of the work that I do, sort of advocacy, and that's why Raaina and I brainstormed about the name Kids Who Farm. I was inspired to pursue Kids Who Farm together with her because I saw that everyone has a role to play in the solution to our problems, and even as a young kid, as a 9-year-old kid can propose a solution, then I guess everyone can be a part of the bigger answer to these problems. When we started, basically we just want to, we're passionate about teaching kids about food and farming, and we organize activities based on funded by our own resources, and later on it really grew, and we have other organizations collaborating with us.
So in the 2 years since Kids Who Farm started, what are the most memorable experiences?
Eating food. Since Kids Who Farm is mainly about appreciating the value of food, well, I guess that's my favorite part of Kids Who Farm, food.
So from being like a small organization, 2 years after, we're able to really expand and create more impacts. That's the important part of it. So, and part of the impact is really like in Zamboanga, establishing localized food security solutions. Kids of Farm's vision really is about reversing the persistent trend of aging Filipino farmers by building the expertise of young people in food and farming. So as Ryan mentioned, we should make farming fun and easy. That's the tagline. So from a mind of a kid, in order for you to inspire future farmers, it should be fun and easy. So that's why when we created our programs, it is along that kind of mindset.
So as a young person, what do you want to see in Zamboanga or maybe in the Philippines in the future?
I want to see a poverty-free future without any food shortages. I also want to see it without COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, there would be food shortages since poverty and COVID-19 are causing us problems. So now I can encourage you to start your own garden.
For Zamboanga City, I guess there's a bigger opportunity to really make Zamboanga City food secure. At present, we're 40% self-sufficient in terms of vegetables. And as a city which is identified as the third largest city in the Philippines in terms of land area, it's very ironic that we're not producing enough food for the people and we import 60% of our food as far as Baguio. So I guess the main question that we should be asking ourselves is that, are we really close to our source of food? And because of the pandemic, it really shows you the cracks, the ills of the food system that we have.
Now, as a youth, what is your message now to your fellow youth?
Well, my message for the youth is to appreciate the food that's on their plate. Because now or then or later, there might be no food that will come. Especially that we're getting food shortages lately. I encourage you to appreciate the food on your plate and enjoy it.
In the youth lies the future of food security, and I guess that's why we're here. That's, I guess, why we're doing the work that we do, because we see this as a step into that direction of molding young minds, inspiring future farmers, and hopefully build a future where, part of our building the life skill of kids, of every person, is about learning how to grow their food. And because that's, I guess, the disconnection now. We as parents, we tend to teach our kids to save food, to eat all the food on the plate, diba? Appreciate food, as mentioned by Ryan. But we never actually teach our kids about growing food, because we thought that it's the farmers' jobs, that we can always buy food in the supermarket, in the palengke. But in a future where pandemic, where climate change will be the new normal, I guess it's very important for everyone to learn how to grow their own food. So we should start teaching it to our kids.
All right, so thank you so much for watching that short video. So pretty much encapsulates the work that we do in Kids Who Farm. So for everyone here, I would like to emphasize that we are all part of the discussion of food, because eating is an agricultural act. So while we still eat, we should be in the business of food. We should participate in this whole discussion of food, because food is essential to us. No? So this is very important, and I would like to set the tone of our training, that no matter who you are, no matter where you are, whether you're a farmer or not, you are part of this discussion. And it's important to emphasize that what we're doing now, what we're doing as a part of our contribution to food, is really about localizing our food system. So what I'm saying here, kids, is that if we can only grow our food within our area, near to our place, buy that food, and do not rely heavily on food from other places, that's better for us. No, our food system, or the whole process of production of food down to consumption of food, is governed by a global system, and that is the problem now. Now, when there's pandemic, there's climate change, and your food supply is cut off, you will have a problem. So the sooner we can figure out that we can, in fact, create our own food system within our community, within our households, within our condominiums, now wherever you are, the closer the food to you, the better. And urban agriculture is one of the solutions. No, when we talk about local food system, we always emphasize the important role of urban agriculture, or what we call urban farming. No, so it is one of the best ways to localize food system, because in urban agriculture or urban farming or urban gardening, you grow your food locally, you process it locally, you distribute it within your area, within your community. And food production in urban agriculture is not only confined to vegetable production. So when you talk about urban agriculture, you're also talking about growing chickens, now growing animals for food, aquaculture, fish, even beekeeping and horticulture. So that's essentially captures that whole food security spectrum within your locality, within your area. And that's why your learning session this afternoon will focus on that aspect, no, localizing food by way of the most local is, or we call it hyper local, is for you to grow the food that's on your plate. No, grow the food that you eat. So the title of the learning session is Plant Your Plate, and this is technically a basic introduction to urban agriculture or urban farming. So what you're seeing in this slide are some of the dishes now that I cook from our small garden here. Now, so, and hopefully I can inspire you to jumpstart your very first urban garden after this learning session. So there are two objectives. No, first I want to teach you about the technical aspect, no, which the step-by-step process. And second is hopefully along the way I can inspire you to really start your garden. And this learning session is a guide for you to do that. So urban container gardening is our main topic. And what is urban container gardening? It is essentially the creation of small farms. We call it micro farms in limited spaces, primarily in urban households or in cities, no? Where crops are grown, such as vegetables, herbs, in containers rather than into the ground. So what you're seeing now, Raaina is holding a lettuce planted in a container, a PET bottle. No? So urban container gardening is very simple and it's very straightforward, that it addresses two major issues, no, in our households. Number one is the issue of food security, as already mentioned, access to food. And the second is the issue of food waste or household waste. So I will discuss that one later, but just to emphasize that these are very important issues that urban container gardening can address in your households. To visualize, I hope you're seeing the screen. This is an example of an urban container garden. It's a garden of our mentor in Davao, made from repurposed containers. And you can see there's plenty of vegetables, no? There's plenty of gulay here, no? And there's diversity in the food, no? This is actually a garden that supplies the food requirement of the family. And also, they earn from this because they sell the surplus. So they sell what is in excess, no, to their neighbors. So urban container gardening is essentially about maximizing space, no? The kind of mindset that I want you kids to have is that when you have small space, you need to widen your mindset. No, small spaces are not the hindrances, no, to growing food. You need to be imaginative. You may need to be creative. You need to be to find ways how to grow food in spite of the small space that you have. So don't tell me that you cannot grow food because you don't have space. That's unacceptable. No? So you need to be imaginary and be creative, and this learning session will help you that. So there are considerations, no, before gardening. So before even starting to grow your seed, you need to consider the following. So listen up. Number one is you need to plan your garden. So when you have a space, you need to look at it and see where are the areas where you can maximize food production. So when we say plan your garden, you plan the type of vegetable that you will grow based on your requirement, and you plan the type of containers that you will pile up based on what is available. So again, planning is very important. Just like any other aspects of life, we need to plan because you cannot manage what you don't measure. So that's very important, kids. So when we say planning, you plan out what vegetables you want to grow. So if you're a starter, you want to start with easy crops to grow. So you plan what type of crops that one. No? At the same time, if you are already into gardening and you want to make sure that your household will have a year-round supply of vegetables, so you need to plan as well. No, what type of vegetables you will grow in each containers. No, so you will have like a steady supply of vegetables all year round. So planning is very, very important. You can plan also to grow vegetables that's very easy to grow. These are the type of vegetables. We call this one COVID 30, common vegetables you can grow in 30 days. No, I will expound this one later, but just to share to you some of these vegetables, no, like alugbati or spinach, you have kamote or sweet potato, pechay, kangkong, onion, basil, and even lettuce. You can grow that one in 30 to 35 days. Very easy. And also you need to know your tools. No? Of course, this is gardening. We need tools, no? But you don't need to buy all of these tools. I guess what's important is for you to understand the uses of the different tools and prioritize what you can use now in your households. So the essentials are, for example, if you have money to buy or your parents have money to buy, for you, you can procure the following: trowel, fork, hand pruner, or scissor. However, you can make use of what is available in your household. No? So you don't need to buy. But this is very important because this will help you in gardening. No? These tools. So now let's move ahead with our basic steps in gardening. So kids, we have 6 steps that we're going to follow in urban container gardening. So can I see a thumbs up if you are ready to undergo the 6 basic steps in urban container gardening? There you go. So yeah. Okay, so let's start off with step number 1, which is about garden site selection. So please take note, garden site selection. So there are main considerations now when you want to start your garden. Of course, you need the space, but you also need to look at if your area has access to soil and nutrients. So if you don't have a soil there in your house, maybe you can buy a ready-made soil. That's also okay. Or you can do your own soil mix. Number 2, you should have water because you need to water the plants. So if you don't have a running water, maybe you can collect rainwater. So you can install a pail or a drum to collect rainwater. And number 3, which is very, very important, your area or your proposed garden site should have access to enough sunlight and shade. Because as already told by our biology teacher, plants need sunlight for their food production. So if there's no sunlight, it will not grow. So now that you have factored in those qualifications or those considerations, let's look at the sunlight requirement now. So plants need different number of hours in terms of sun exposure. So if your proposed garden site receives 6+ hours of direct sun, you can grow pretty much everything. You can even grow fruiting vegetables or even rooting vegetables. So like, for example, chili pepper, eggplant, tomato, ampalaya, watermelon, and more. So that's 6 hours plus of direct sun. If your area receives 4 to 6 hours of direct sun, you can grow mostly herbs, even lettuce, cucumber, legumes such as string beans, radish. And if your area receives 3 to 4 hours of sun, you can grow leafy vegetables such as mustard, pak choy, arugula. I can see someone raised her hand or his hand. Yes. Yes, Elbros, go ahead. Yes, can you please Yeah, I cannot hear you. Yeah, Elbros.
Yes.
How much sun exposure is needed for petchai?
Yeah, there's pechay is 3 to 4 hours. That's spinach.
Okay.
How about Alex?
Uh, when I just planted a tomato seed, so should it receive sunlight should it receive sunlight up to 6 hours?
If it is still a seed, um, it's advisable to not expose it in direct sun for 6 hours. But if it's already a seedling, you can already do that. Now, for newly planted seeds, less than 3 hours. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's another question. Yes, go ahead. Liquin.
I win. I win. Okay. My question is,
Yes.
can papaya be exposed to the sun at 6 hours?
Yes. Yes. How about Heidi?
I can hear us.
Yes.
I just want to know, is 12 noon to 4 p.m. sunlight okay?
Well, generally okay, but preferable is morning sun. But it's okay. It's okay. Okay. So can we go ahead with our lecture? So we're just beginning, huh? This is like 6 steps. So anyway, if you can, you can type in your questions. Please feel free, so I can read it while I'm presenting. Um, so you can use a lot of space na in your household. So practically all idle spaces, no? Balcony, rooftop, stairs, front yard, backyard, or any available space. If you're planning to do a garden in the community, yeah, that's you. There you go. You can plant it in the middle of your subdivision. And so, and if you're in a condo, you can. That's why container gardening is very applicable in areas with limited space. So you can do fence gardening. So we have this garden when we were in Davao City. So we planted petchay in fast food cups. So you can just choose what flavor of petchay do you want. Jollibee, KFC, all of that containers, you can use that one. We don't have a space to put all those containers, so we hung the petchay. So we used PET bottles to hang all this petchay so we can still harvest our food. We also used our window, no? So our window, it receives enough sunlight in the morning, so we put the containers there to grow lettuce and basil, and eat salad for free. You can also use what we call raised bed gardens. So you can make a box and put soil on it and then plant your vegetables. So this is an example of a raised bed garden. Also staircase. Now, if you have a staircase that is not usable, then you can utilize it as a platform for the containers, or even electric fan cover. You can use it to grow your food. So there you go. That's step number 1, garden site selection. So for the parents and teachers here, this is an assignment that your kids can do. Identify the garden location in your area. If you don't have a garden yet, you can exchange notes, share a photo of your garden, and maybe share it to your teachers as well, to your parents, and so that they can also guide you. So that's module number 1. So we're down to module number 2, or step number 2. And this is seed sowing and seedling care. So module number 2 is about the seed and how to grow it into a seedling. But let's start off with soil, because your seed cannot grow without soil, no? So an important thing to remember is that soil is a living thing, no? It's a living thing because it contains living bacteria and organisms. So in gardening, it's important that your soil is alive, no? And what are the characteristics of a good soil? So if you have in your area, you have access to soil, better. But if you have the resources, you can buy ready-made soil in agricultural supply stores, no? And these are the characteristics of that soil, a really good soil. Number one, it has water retention capacity. No, it can hold water. Number two, it has organic matter, or what you call compost. No, the organic matter, or the composted biodegradable waste will serve as the food of the plant. Number three, it is porous or loose. No, it's not compact. No, and a loose soil will help the plant access the bottom of the container and will let the roots expand better. And the number four, no chemicals or toxic matter. So if your soil is mixed with paint, oil, you don't use that one. That's already toxic. So in container gardening, what we're saying is that we don't have a land, no, we don't have like vast areas of land, but we can make our own soil through our soil mix. So I don't know how many of you here are here in the Philippines and have access to soil, but in case this is an example, you can mix these three types of potting mixes in equal amount. No, meaning to say, if you're using 1 part rice hull, you can also use 1 part garden soil and 1 part compost. So you can ask your parents to guide you in mixing this one. No? I guess in Saudi Arabia, you don't have rice hull or parts of that garden soil mix, so you can buy na lang if ever. However, if you don't have rice hull, you can replace that one with sand, no, river sand, because river sand is so porous. It can help the plant grow better. So garden soil and compost in equal amount. However, if you have access to this type of components for your potting mix, like for example, in the Philippines, we are growing rice. So we have plenty of rice hulls. So you can carbonize it. When you carbonize, meaning to say you can burn it so that it can char it in a way and mix it with your soil mix. So it will help the soil become more conditioned, no? Helps in the growth of the plant. So again, kids, if you don't have access to this one, you can advise your parents to buy you ready-made soil, and they're selling it in agri-supply stores for sure. Garden section. So how do you mix the soil if you're doing the mixing? No, so important to mix the soil properly and refine it. No, remove foreign materials and then solarize it or expose it to sun for 8 hours to sterilize the soil. So that's how our farmers do it here in the Philippines now. So they're doing it just like exactly this type of process. Again, one of the important components of your soil mix, if you have observed, is compost. No? So compost is actually a decomposed organic matter. No? What we say organic matter, these are biodegradable waste in your household. So what are the biodegradable waste in your household? Normally, it's food waste, paper, leaves of the plants, grasses. Don't throw that away. You can decompose it through composting, and later on, it will become soil. And then you can mix it already in your potting mix. So if you look at here in the Philippines, a study was done, no? 52% of the food that or the waste component of each household is food waste. 52%, more than half is biodegradable waste, which you can actually compost, and that will serve as your source of soil. So indeed, kids, the only waste you cannot reuse is wasted time. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of gardening, you can reuse a lot of things, even food waste, even biodegradable waste into soil, and create more soil from that waste. Next is about the seed. No, so you have already your soil. Now let's talk about the seed. So there are 2 types of seed. Now just remember this. Now the first one is hybrid seed, or what they call F1. These are like the seeds that's being bred by a seed producer. No? So they're doing what they call hybridization. No? They're adjusting the characteristics of the seed, no, from taste to color to size to resistance to pests and diseases and so on. And the other one is what we call open pollinated seed. No? These are the seed that you plant now, and then you harvest the fruit, and then you save the seed, and then you plant it again. So in the agri supply store, if you're buying the seeds, the difference between a hybrid and an open pollinated seed is that in the packaging, for example, these are the packaging of the seed here in the Philippines. Normally, a hybrid seed has F1 on it. So the name of the plant plus F1. So if you can see that there's an F1, this is hybrid seed. Without F1, that's open pollinated variety of vegetable seeds. So easy to identify. And I hope one of these days you can go to the agri supply store with your parents, now identify which of the seed are open pollinated or hybrid seed. So kids, do you know that your plants have friends? So they like to thrive together with their friends. So we call this one as companion cropping as well. So you grow vegetables alongside their friend vegetables. So if you are growing cucumber, for example, it's best for you to grow corn as well, or legumes such as string beans or eggplant or radish. So that's companion planting. So companion planting has many benefits. Number one, it can save you space. So for example, if you're growing cucumber and then you're planting corn beside the corn will serve as the trellis for the cucumber to climb. And number two, it can help in weed control, no? Lessen the growth of weeds and grasses, and then disease control, pest control, and even attracts more pollinators such as butterflies and bees in your gardens. So now that you know the seeds and companion planting, now let's go to seed sowing. How do you sow the seed, no? Or how to sow seeds, no? Just like the kids doing here in this photo. No? This is actually an orphanage. No? These are the kids here we taught, no, on growing food, and they're orphans. But they're very active and participative in growing their own food. So there are two types of seed sowing. Number one is what we call direct sowing. So when you say direct sowing, you plant the seed directly into the container where you want it to grow. No, so these are ideal for corn, for example, or kangkong, no, or water spinach, or legumes such as string beans. No, direct sowing is very applicable. Another type of sowing is what we call indirect sowing, or this is the one you are using a seedling tray. No, so when you're using a seedling tray, it's indirect sowing. You are going to sow the seed in the seedling tray to allow it to grow to a particular period, number of days, before you transfer or transplant it to a bigger container. And this is very ideal if you're growing tomato, chili pepper, eggplant. Now, these are the type of vegetables that you need to grow first in a seedling tray before you transplant. If you don't have a seedling tray because you need to buy it, you can actually repurpose a lot of waste materials in your household. No? So you can use plastic cups if you are a fan of using, eating food in plastics, and don't throw it away. You can use egg tray. Yan. You can use banana leaves. If you have bananas there, you can use banana leaves. Or pretty much the pet bottles, no, that you are using. So don't throw that away because that can help in your seedling tray for seed sowing. So the process is very simple. If you're sowing it using a seedling tray, you just partially wet the soil mix, and then put ample amount of that one in the seedling tray or in the banana leaves or in the plastic cups, and you sow one seed per hole or one seed per cup or per container. So you don't put many seeds, no, only one. And then cover it partially with soil and then keep it in a safe place. So that's how you do seedling tray sowing. So just like what you're seeing now in the photo. And then before putting it in a safe place, don't forget to put a label. No? Meaning to say you indicate what type of vegetable seed is that and the date of sowing. The date is very important because that will serve as your guide. So you can count how many days until the transplanting date. So it's important to put a label in your seedling tray. So these are the tips, no? After a while, after 2 to 3 days, the seed will start to germinate. No? So it's important to take care of that seedling because it will define the success of your gardening. No? So number one, you need to water it regularly. You need to apply fertilizer, which are nitrogen-rich fertilizer. I will also teach you that one later. Protect it from animals. And you need partial sun exposure. No, I mentioned about this one to Alex. No, don't expose your newly planted seed in 100% sun. Partial sun exposure around 3 hours, and then covered with net. If you're putting it outside your house, covered with net for shading, or you can cover it with a cellophane to prevent it from flooded during rainfall. No, so it's important to do these seedling care tips so that your seeds will grow into seedlings. If you have an extra mosquito net in your house, you can use something like this. It's very easy to do. Just cover it with a net or something like this. Our farmers are doing this one, no? To prevent animals from reaching the seedling tray, you elevate it. No? So that's easy to do, easy to apply, and hopefully your parents can help you. So the task for this module is start sowing your seed. Now, so you start, hopefully you can buy seeds there, or you can repurpose the seeds now from the vegetable you buy from the supermarket and start growing your own vegetables. So number 3 is about containers. Now, so we're halfway already. So container gardening. So containers are very important. So, but before that, let me remind you that if you don't know yet, the Philippines is number 3 contributor to ocean plastics pollution. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate that we pollute the sea and we're number 3 next to Indonesia and China. That's why every year there's what we call an ocean cleanup drive where they clean the oceans and the beaches. And every time they do that one, number 2 most collected plastic waste are beverage bottles. So your favorite soda, your favorite mineral water, that's the number 2. So that's why we're trying to think of ways how to address the problem. And urban container gardening is one best way to address the problem of plastic waste because we can recycle it, we can reuse it, repurpose it as containers in growing our food. So from a single-use plastic problem, such as what you see in the slide, though they're being thrown away everywhere and it will end up in the sea, we can reuse it, capture it, and use it as containers of growing your vegetables, such as this. So, diba? It's very nice to see that we're not contributing to plastic waste pollution because we're using our plastics as containers for growing food. Or something like this. So there are things also to consider now when you are using a container in growing vegetables. Number 1, it should be enough to hold the plant, no? So if you're growing a plant that's big, for example, eggplant, you don't plant it in a cup, you plant it in a bigger container. So if your container should be sturdy enough to hold the soil, it should have drainage holes, meaning to say you have like exits for water, for excess water, and you don't use a container that contains harmful chemicals. Okay? So there are different qualifications for containers now depending on the plant. No? So for example, if you're growing eggplant, bell pepper, tomatoes, cucumber, you can use 5-gallon size container because the root system of these plants are really huge, no? And they will require bigger space for them to navigate the soil. So however, if you're growing leafy vegetables such as lettuce, mustard, the smaller ones like the spinach, kangkong, yan, you can use small containers or even the cups. No? I shared a photo earlier about petchay being grown in Jollibee cups. No? So that's one of the examples that you can do at home. So these are some of the ideas for container vegetables. you guys enjoy that one? You can also use drums. No, if you have drums there in your house, what we're doing here in Zamboanga is that we create this what we call vertical barrel gardens. So we create pocket holes, no, on the side of the drum by using a heat gun and like a bottle to mold, no, the pockets. So we can grow vegetables on the side and fruiting vegetables on the top. No? So it's also one way for you to utilize small space through vertical barrel gardening. You can ask the help of your parents to do this one as well. You can also plant in used sacks. No? So rice sack, cement sack, you can use that one. Don't throw it away. You can put soil and you can grow these vegetables. You can also grow it in cups. No, I shared cups earlier, but if you are fond of drinking milk tea, don't throw the cup. Plant pechay. And there's one thing I would like you to remember, kids. No, when you are making a container, make sure that you drill holes for drainage. And if you're drilling holes, do not drill on the bottom of the cup. Instead, you drill holes on the side of the container so that you can still have an allowance for water there at the bottom of the cup and for soil moisture. And if you are drilling holes on the side, it will allow the air to enter the soil and it will provide aeration for the plant because our plants also need oxygen. Yeah. Yes, Alex?
Can we use old shoes or unused shoes to plant in?
Sorry, again?
Can we use old shoes or unused shoes to plant
Yes,
in?
of course. That's why I mentioned about using your imagination. You can use shoes. You can even use your pants. Old pants, you put soil. So, yeah, that's, I guess, some of the examples. No? So thanks for the suggestion, Alex. Very good. I look forward to see your plant in your shoes. Okay. So you can also do this one, kids. No? So you have pet bottles in your house. If you're drinking like soda or mineral water bottle, you can use this as a self-irrigating bottle. So a self-irrigating bottle is actually designed where you can grow your vegetables without having to water it every day because there's a container for water at the bottom. So what you're going to do, if you have pet bottles there, you ask the help of your parents, no? Using a pair of scissors, you cut that bottle in half. The bottom half, it will serve as the water container, so you can put water there. The upper half, you can drill holes on it, and then you can put soil on it, no? And attach a piece of cloth that will serve as a wick. So like it will absorb the water and then it will travel to the soil and make the soil moist. So this is a way for you to grow food without having to water it every day. No? So this is what we call self-irrigating bottle. Very doable. After the learning session, you can start making this type of bottles already. So the assignment for this module is to make your container. Now, so I suggest that you also make that self-irrigating bottle. Okay, we're down to step number 4. Sorry, this is step number 4, seedling transplanting. So you now need to transplant the seedlings. However, I would like to share some of the easy crops to grow. We call this COVID-30. If there's COVID-19, there's COVID-30. Community vegetables you can grow in 30 to 35 days. Okay, these are like alugbati. If you're familiar with alugbati, Malabar spinach, kamote or sweet potato, pechay, lettuce, onion, colitis or amaranth, or kangkong or water spinach. So kamote tops can grow in 15 days. You can harvest already the leaves in 15 days and the fruits in 90 days. So kamote tops or what we call sweet potato is rich in carbohydrates, carotene, and many more. Now, very easy. You keep the stalks and then you allow it to root, no, by soaking it in water, and then you can transplant it already in your pot. Same is true with alugbate, no, or Malabar spinach. So Malabar spinach, you can keep the stalks or the cuttings and then allow it to grow roots and then transplant it in a container. You can harvest the leaves of the spinach or the alugbati in 15 days. It's best if you're cooking it in your favorite soup, vegetable soup, or stir fry it with mushrooms. Onion leaves. No, a lot of our Filipino dish will require onion leaves. So if you are growing your own onion leaves, you're actually saving money. So you can grow it by planting the cuttings, no? And then you can just trim. If you want to harvest, trim it, and it will grow again. Trim it, it will grow again. So you can add it in your favorite dishes. You can also grow pechay. Pechay is very easy to grow. You can plant it directly, no seeds, sow it directly. It can germinate in 1 week, and then you can harvest it in 35 days. Also kangkong, no? You can already direct sow it, no, and then it will germinate, and it can be harvested in 30 days. So those are some of the best examples of easy crops to grow. However, if you're growing tomato, sweet pepper, eggplant in a seedling tray, so that the reason why I said that you need to put a label, because we'll now count how many days you need to observe before you can transplant it. So if you're growing tomato, sweet pepper, and eggplant, practically 21 to 28 days in the seedling tray, and then you can transplant it in a bigger container after, no? So same is true with ampalaya, upo, and squash. That's 7 to 14 days as well. Yes, Elbros, any question?
How about the pechay? It is not put in the
Pechay,
grid,
I
but
mentioned earlier, pechay, you can grow it in 1 week. Harvest it in 35 days. Okay?
okay.
So, what are the things you need to look into if you are going to transplant? So, you don't need to transplant everything in the seedling tray. You only choose the seedling with good characteristics or healthy seedlings. Now, for example, it has broad leaves, it has thick stem, and it is well hardened. So, when you say well hardened, it survived direct sun exposure already. So, you transfer the healthy seedlings and leave the unhealthy ones. So in seedling transplanting, what you need to do is you fill your container, di ba? I mean, you already make your container, di ba? You fill it with soil, and then you just create a small hole, and then transplant the seedling without damaging the roots into the container, cover it with a little soil, and water it. That's basically easy as 1, 2, 3. No? So that's how you transplant your seedling. Just like in the photo that you're seeing now. No? So it's how you transplant a seedling. Easy. And then after you transplant a seedling, you need to add mulching. So how many of you here have heard the word mulching? Is this your first time to hear it? Yes. If this is the first time, mulching is essentially the layer of material applied to the soil surface. So if you're planting your talong or eggplant in a pot, you just fill that one with mulch, or like organic mulch such as wood chips, dried sawdust, dried grass clippings, or even nutshells. If you're fond of eating peanuts, don't throw away the nutshells, because you can cover it on the top of the soil surface for mulching. Mulching helps in, number one, soil moisture conservation. So it allows the soil to have moisture. Number two, it adds fertility to the soil, because if this is organic, this can decompose and will be part of the soil, and it reduces weed growth. So that's the benefits of mulching. Again, the task for this module is for you to grow your COVID 30 vegetables. So you can choose from eggplant, from kangkong, pechay, onions. These are easy vegetables to grow, and it will add enjoyment to you, because you will have a higher success rate if you're growing this type of vegetables. Okay, step number 5 is about watering and fertilization. So watering and fertilization is very important, because according to my science teacher, plants also need water to process their food. In the photosynthesis process, it does not only require sunlight, but also water. But however, these are the very important tips you need to remember in watering the plant. First and foremost, You do not water the plants in the evening. Only water the plants when the sun is up, either morning or afternoon. And make sure that the water penetrates the bottom of the container. Water the plants regularly and make sure that you drain excess water to prevent water lagging. Okay, so that's the tips. Number 2, watering is not enough. You need to feed the plant. When I say feed the plant, provide nutrients to the plant by you applying fertilizers. So there are two types of fertilizers. Now, for those who are not familiar, there are two types. One is organic fertilizer. So these are like the compost, the one I mentioned earlier, no? Compost and other organic matter. When you put that one in the soil, it will be broken down by organic matter and microorganisms. So the organic fertilizer will help the microorganisms to convert that one into plant nutrients. So there's no overdose. The more you apply organic matter on the soil, the better, because you are actually feeding the soil when you're applying organic matter. The other fertilizer is what we call chemical fertilizer, and these are synthetic fertilizer designed or created to feed the plant. So once you apply chemical fertilizer on the soil, it will be absorbed by the plant, but not the soil. So the more you apply chemical fertilizer on the soil, you're actually poisoning the soil because it will not be absorbed by the microorganisms living in the soil. So in urban container gardening, we highly encourage organic fertilizer use because this is very cheap, no? This is free and this is very safe. And just like humans, no, just like you and I, plants also need nutrients. So they have nutritional requirements. So for plants, there are 17 essential elements for the plants to bear fruit and grow very well. So these are what we call the macronutrients. No, so how many of you are familiar about the scientific table of elements? No, yan, Elbros. So NPK, yan, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These are the macronutrients. All the rest are micronutrients and non-fertilizer elements. So when you say non-fertilizer elements, the plant source it either from the air, oxygen, or from water, hydrogen. No, so these are the 17 nutrients. So now I will teach you 3 very easy to make organic fertilizer. And these are like the organic fertilizers where you can source the ingredients, no, from your kitchen. So FPJ, FFJ, and FAA. So these are acronyms, but I will explain it later. So let's start off with FPJ. So FPJ is what we call fermented plant juice. So it's not FPJ ang probinsyano, ha. So FPJ, fermented plant juice. And it is good for the growth of the plant. It is rich in chlorophyll, so it adds in the plant health. And it is made by fermenting either of these ingredients, no? Banana trunk, kamote tops, kangkong, pechay, or alugbati, plus brown sugar or molasses. If you don't have molasses, you can use brown sugar. So what you need to do is you chop the ingredients, or chop the leaves of the plants finely, mix it with brown sugar, and then store it in a container. So the ratio or the volume is 2:1. So for every 2, for example, 2 kilos of kangkong, 1 kilo brown sugar. So you ferment that one in 7 days. So that's your FPJ, your nitrogen-rich fertilizer. Second is your fermented fruit juice, or FFJ. This is the potassium, no, rich in potassium. It is good for the flowering of the plant and the fruiting of the plant. So since we're talking about fruit, so making an FFJ is like mixing ripe fruits and brown sugar. So you can choose either banana, mango, or avocado. You can chop it finely, mix it with brown sugar. The volume is 1:1, 1 kilo fruits, 1 kilo brown sugar. Put it in a container and then ferment it for 7 days. And the last fertilizer, which is rich in phosphorus, is what we call fish amino acid, or FAA. fish amino acid is for faster growth of the plant and for sturdier plant. No? So, and this is made of fish entrails. No, if your parents are buying fish in the palengke in the supermarket, you ask them to not throw the innards or the intestines, the gills of the fish. Instead, you chop it finely. It will not smell bad. Taiwan, promise. Because you'll mix it with brown sugar. It will be sweet already. So 1:1, no? For 1 kilo or 1 kilo fish entrails, 1 kilo brown sugar, and mix it, ferment it for 7 days, and that is already your fish amino acid, rich in phosphorus. So how do you ferment it? It's very easy, promise. You just put the mixture in a container where you can cover it with a piece of paper or a cloth. Or if you're putting it in a mineral water bottle, don't cover it too tightly, no? And store it in a room temperature for 7 days. After 7 days, you can harvest it by straining the contents, no? Separating the syrup or the liquid from the residue. No? So the liquid, that's already the fertilizer. So you can store it separately, and then the remaining part or the residue, you can add it in your compost bin. So it will serve as compost, or you can put it in the soil. It will decompose after a while. So what you need to do is to just apply the fertilizer to the plant by mixing 2 tablespoons of your FPJ or FFJ or FAA to a liter of water. So you can either drench it or spray it, no, once or twice a week. So not every day. You can apply this once or twice a week. So that's your organic fertilizer. It's easy to do. And I'm going to show you a video, an example, so that you will be guided on how to make a fermented fruit juice. So essentially the process is the same for the 3 fertilizers, but this example is fermented fruit juice. Okay? session, you make your own fertilizer. So food for thought, know your plant's nutrient needs, no? So that you can address the plant growth and will have a higher level of success for your garden. So you can make your fertilizer, you can choose from the three, or you can make all three so that your plants will grow very well. Okay, so our next step or last step is what we call natural pest control. So we're talking about the pests in your garden. So one of the problems of gardeners is the pest. No, so kids, help me out. Now let's identify what type of pest are these. No, okay, are you ready? Okay, this one. Any idea? Can you type in your answers? Oh, that's good. Samsi said it's aphid. So aphid, you are right. It's aphid. Okay, next. It is a chewing insect that feed on foliage and tender stems of the plants. What? Okay, the right answer is, there you go, that's caterpillar. Okay, very good. Okay, this one, it's a sucking insect just like aphid. Yan. No, three-letter word. Yeah, it's a bug. Yes, you're right. Okay. Let's go on to the next insects. It's a chewing insects or chewing pests. They feed on the leaves of the plant. Snail and the other one, the one without shell is called slug. So that this is a snail and the other one is a slug. How about this one? It's a plant feeding mites that can cause defoliation. Tick mite. Okay, so you're right. Now this is a red spider mite. Okay, and the last common enemy of your garden is what insect is this? This is commonly known. Ayan. Very good. Samsi, you're very good. No? It's called mealybug. Yan. Kayo, pag hindi kayo naliligo, mealybug kayo. Yan. So, yan. So this is mealybug. And I hope you are now aware of what type of pests are common in your garden. So how to address the pests? Number one, yan, good sanitation. You always clean your garden. Number two, you follow crop rotation. So when you say crop rotation, when you're growing petchay in this cup, after harvesting petchay, you don't grow petchay again. You plant another type of vegetable to cut the cycle of the pest. So that's what we call crop rotation. Number three, intercropping. No, intercropping is planting other type of vegetables alongside your vegetables or other type of plants alongside your plants or your vegetables. So you can also follow the companion planting guide as already mentioned. So this particular slide is already a guide. No? And intercropping is also about growing flowers and herbs. So you grow vegetables, but you also grow flowers and herbs because this will benefit your garden. So what types of flowers that will help your garden address pests? Number one is zinnia. It attracts pollinators such as butterflies and bees. Next is marigold. Marigold is good for repelling pests. It's a natural insect repellent or pest repellent. You can also grow petunia, which is also a repellent for insect pests. Petunias are beautiful flowers as well. You can grow sunflower. They can also repel insect pests, and they're beautiful as well. You can also grow blue ternate. You can use the flower of blue ternate for your tea. You can make it into a tea, and it can attract butterflies and bees. You can grow sweet basil, so you can manage the fruit flies in your garden. So these are flowers. You can also buy this one. No? If you're if you have agri supply stores there, you can buy all the seeds of these flowers too. If you're here in the Philippines, you can ask your neighbors. So one last way to address the pest infestation in your garden is to make your own pesticide, natural pesticide or biopesticide, by mixing 1 bulb garlic, 1 medium onion, 5 to 6 chili peppers, and 1 tablespoon of dishwashing liquid and 1 liter of water. So the dishwashing liquid will serve as the sticker. So once you spray it on the pest, it will stick there for a while and will address or kill or repel the pests. Okay, so this is very easy to make. You can ask your parents to help you do this one as well. So your assignment is for you to make also your own biopesticide. Okay, so very easy to do. So practically that ends the 6 steps. However, since I'm happy to see everyone is very interested, I'm going to give you a bonus. So the bonus is this one. You also make trellis. So you have the option to make a trellis because a trellis supports your plant, no? Especially when your plants now become heavy because of the fruits. It will help manage root damage and will help the plants grow very well if you are putting a trellis. So a trellis is something like this. No, this is Raaina in one of the farms that we visited. No, all of the eggplants there are connected to a trellis. So, but in container gardening, you can use some of these materials. No, you can use wooden or fence. No, you can use also bamboo sticks. You can use window grills. You can grow your crawling plants in the window grills, or you can use wire or tying materials such as rope. Yan. So, sure, Alex, please share. If you can share to your parents and teachers or to Ma'am EJ better. So this is a video which shows you the steps or examples of trellis. Yeah, so that's very easy. Yan. And it's very easy to do. So you can ask your parents to help you set up trellis. The easiest trellis that you can actually make is a teepee trellis. You're familiar with teepee, right? The House of American Indians. So similar to that one is the trellis. So by using stick, branch, rope, or any tying material, you can make your own teepee trellis. Okay. So again, let's review the steps. First step is site selection. Number 2, soil mix, selecting the container, seed sowing, transplanting, watering and fertilization, pest control, and trellising, which is the last part. Again, kids, I would like to emphasize this now. Growing your own food is very important. And for me to determine whether or not you are listening to my lecture, I will give you a 10-item quiz. You can just type in your answers in the chat box. Okay? Can I see a thumbs up if you're ready? Let's see who's right. Okay? This is just to test your listening skills or if you're paying attention. Okay? Let's start off with question number 1. Okay? It is the creation of microfarms in limited spaces where crops are grown in containers. The answer is it urban gardening, hydroponics, backyard beautification? Okay, the correct answer is, okay, I guess all of you are correct. No? Letter A. It's urban container gardening. Okay. Number 2. Which of the following is a characteristic of a good soil mix? A. Compacted soil. B. Water retention capacity. Letter C. Polluted and toxic soil. Which is okay, the correct answer is letter B. I'm sorry. The correct answer is letter B, has water retention capacity. Okay, number 3, which is not a basis for checking the or choosing the location of your garden. A, as access to soil and water. B, access to sunlight. Access to street view. So I guess it's pretty obvious, no? Letter C is the right answer. Number 4 or number 5. 4. It's a type of seed that has been bred by a seed producer for a specific trait. A, hybrid seed. B, open pollinated seed. Letter C, seed from the barangay. Okay, the correct answer is letter A. Everyone's correct. Very good. Okay, next question. What is a layer of material used to cover the topsoil to preserve moisture and prevent weed growth? A, trellis. B, mulch. Letter C, towel. Okay. Correct answer is indeed letter B. Okay, next question. It is an organic fertilizer made from fermented leafy vegetables and brown sugar. A, fermented fruit juice. B, fish amino acid. C, fermented plant juice. Answers. Okay, the correct answer is letter C, fermented plant juice. Next, 7. It is an organic fertilizer made from fermented ripe fruits and molasses or brown sugar. A, fermented fruit juice. B, weed tea. Letter C, fermented plant juice. Okay. The clue is for fruit, no? So the correct answer is letter A, fermented fruit juice. Okay, number 8. Sorry. Number 8. Which of the following plant is a natural pest repellent? Marigold, grass, or weed? Okay, the correct answer is letter A, marigold. Okay, number 8. How many seeds in a seedling tray? Okay, letter A. Okay, and last question. Okay, which of the following is not recommended container in container gardening? A, used rice sack. B, used cups. Letter C, drums with toxic chemicals. Okay, the correct answer is letter C. Okay, give yourselves a big round of applause. Yeah. Thank you so much for participating. Again, now just to add to your knowledge, you can also check these websites and Facebook groups or Facebook pages for you to learn more about container gardening and urban agriculture. You can also download this presentation I just presented earlier. This is the link, but I will give the presentation to teacher EJ so that she can distribute it to you. Again, guys, I would like to remind you that whatever your age, you can be a part of the solution. According to Raaina, our founder, the youth has a role to play in food security solutions. So, and I hope this learning session provided you with that kind of information to help you, take action. And because we're talking about peace, this is a peace workshop. Remember, kids, the closest thing that you can do to address peace is for you to grow your food, because where hunger rules, peace cannot prevail. So it's important that you feed first your stomach, your tummy. Let's all together help each other grow our own food. Thank you so much for listening. If you have Facebook, please like us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And I hope you guys have a great time listening to this lecture. Thank you.
That's right. You can follow Kids Who Farm at facebook.com/kidswhofarm, and also their Instagram at instagram.com/kidswhofarm.
Right, thank you for once again supporting this initiative. We know that there are always a lot of people in need in different parts of the world, and we chose these 3 beneficiaries because we know and have met the people who are directly involved in the initiatives that are helping those who are in need in these particular locations. Suffering may come from both man-made and natural disasters, and most of these are beyond our control, but what we can control is our response. Thank you for choosing to respond with compassion, and we'll be sharing updates in Ukraine, Somalia, and the Dinagat Islands in our Facebook group, so please check that out if you're interested to know more.
you for coming today. We'll be sending you a copy of this session video and a special handout from Kids Who Farm through email. We hope to see you in the next session.